Hey, good evening, everybody. I guess it's actually mid-afternoon. I'm Ross Cook. I'm the founder of Ross Cook Balancing. I'd like to welcome you today, this afternoon. What I do is I help people create relationship and understand maybe some of the causal realities of their life differently. I help you create relationship differently within yourself, then differently within what you do, what you feel, and how you interact. And lastly, with what you do with the outside world as you press outward and, determine your personal excellence and your success outside. What that might look like for an entrepreneur is I help high-level entrepreneurs get over self-sabotaging behaviors and beliefs so that they can grow sustainable, profitable companies and live value-based lives. I want to let you see something happened in my life here just this afternoon. I have been balancing. I am a balancing guy. I journey within a couple times a day. And I have had an unusual thing happen here recently. I have all this wonder rising in my life, and I'm meeting these new people, and I'm getting a chance for balancing to be understood and visited to an entirely different group of people that are really out making a lot of things happen. And I really appreciate the connection I have with all these people. And during that time, I also called a bunch of basketball games, which involved something like, I think we did the math. It was something like 22 hours of talking within a 48-hour period. And that's unusual for me. I'm not in shape to do that anymore. And I occasionally, when that happens, my voice would get a little jumpy. So today, that jumpiness had that little dis-ease of comfort of my voice had turned to little something going on in my ears, and then my voice had gotten a little raspy, and then my lungs had gotten weird. And thanks, Ross, for calling me up on this day and sharing all that stuff. No, this talk is about time. This talk is about inner journeying. And so what happened today is I sat down and I had an odd calling to think about time. I was watching the NC2A championships, and the conference championships all over the country, who's going to get selected, who isn't. And I was thinking about a bunch of friends who, either might lose their job or, are going to go forward into what they do. And I was very excited by the whole deal. So it's just one of those exciting times. Meanwhile, in my business and in my personal life, everything is just escalated. It's beautiful, and I'm really enjoying it. I was sitting balancing, and I said, I'm going to balance whatever's occurring to me now. And it said, I heard myself tell me, why don't you think about time? Why don't you think about the concept of time? And in the NC2A and in so much of our life, you're either in or you're out. You were good enough or you weren't. You got selected or you didn't, okay? Often, in much of our lives, when we work through things, we then impose that similar kind of, well, I'm good enough or I'm not. There's only two answers. And what I counsel and share with my client base is that generally when this or that shows up, there's no doubt there are events that happen in the world that are challenges, and they're rigid. It goes this way or that way. But the majority of what we would express into our world as this or that really has many, many, many possibilities. Many possibilities that we're just not aware of yet. Okay, but it is fear and limit and history that makes us think it's this or that. So I went into a balance a couple hours ago, and I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to ride this balance and see what's up. I'm going to look at, and I had been revisiting a wonderful book, and I know it looks backwards to you, but it's Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And I had been perusing through. I've read it a number of times, and I was perusing through it, and I thought, well, I don't know what that has to do with it. I already had the concept of time. I took it into my balance and I said, I'm just going to flow and see what I have that comes up and comments from my history, my past, to get to interact with time. One of the things that occurred to me was, well, if you catch a cold, it takes time to get well. It takes this and that, and then you have to go through this process. And I said, well, do I really believe that or not? Now, this cold had been actually a real gift to me because I had taken some time and thought about, taken some energy and some focus and thought about a number of things that helped me go forward this week and next week, sharing balancing with a bunch of new people I've just met. And that's exciting. It's very exciting. And so doing things differently. So anyway, I come out of the balance some 25, 30 minutes later, and I get up, still feeling a little rocky. And as I get up, I stretch some. As I start to walk to the back of the house, my jaw snaps with a pretty significant snap, like the sound of maybe hitting a book on a table. And the pressure out of my ears goes away. My neck feels better. My head stops hurting. My nose stops running. And my lungs clear like that. What's that have to do with time? That can't really happen, can it? No, it absolutely can happen if you choose to believe that time and those things are interrelated differently than some sort of rigid understanding that we learned somewhere in our past, and it has to be that way. I think there's a plethora of possibility of how things can be. You can hear my voice right now. I can speak no problem. I mean, I did not have much of a voice 10 minutes or 3 minutes before that balance, and 5 minutes after the balance, I'm fine. And it was the shifting of my body once I had rethought those thoughts. The way we explain this more clearly than that ramble I just put there is that if you run through a yield sign in your belief systems, it goes and gets more energy. And if it's a limited thought, a limited belief, a limited factor in your life, and when it doesn't get honored, it goes and gets more limits and more limits and more limits. And pretty soon you're dealing with something that's fairly substantial, a bunch of limits, okay? This was a case of when you take time to honor them, release them, take the energy from them and invest that energy from them, let the fears know that they've been honored, take the energy from those fears and drop it into something that's valuable, that is current for you, that is value-based for you, then your being, mind, body, spirit, has a chance to move into another space, to use energy differently. Now, if you've balanced with me a lot, this is standard fare and you understand it. If you haven't balanced with me much, this may sound like kind of like, whoa, this is a little spooky or whatever. Believe me, this works. This causality of re-scripting, not through your own mind, but re-scripting your mind through your subconscious mind to a weller place changes the symptomology that follows a cause. You're changing causes when you're journeying within. And that's why when as kids we push out like crazy and find power and search. And that's why as we get older we have to learn a different tool and learn to journey within. Hope this look at the inside of balancing helps you. I hope it fortifies you a little bit and lets you know a little more. There's a lot more possibility than we even have dream of, that we have any chance of understanding. So just lean on the infinite of it and just stay out there. Time isn't time. Time is a tool. It's a factor in other things. And it can either limit you or it can work in your behalf. I'm Ross of Ross Cook Balancing. We'll talk again tomorrow. And until then, be well. And then be weller tomorrow morning than you are today. Bye.